Okay, so today I want to talk about death and dying and how to cope. For me, I've lost quite a few close ones these past couple of years. And I don't know, each death I cope differently with. Um, when my grandpa died, it was kind of sudden, but he was in a coma and I was able to actually prepare for his death. I was able to go see him at his old folks home. I was able to sit and hold his hand, and he wasn't conscious, but I hope he knows that I was still there. And I was the only grandchild lucky enough to be able to go up and see my grandpa. But I don't know, my heart was kind of prepared for that because in his life he had about two or three strokes, and I think that was just it was his time. He didn't even like living in an old folks home. So I think it was his time. He was ready to go. Um and about 6 months later, my aunt died. My aunt fell down the stairs and had a heart attack. And my aunt and I weren't very close. Um, she didn't really like kids. Didn't really We didn't really connect until I was older, and kind of just a couple years before her death did we actually, sit down and talk about why we were never close when I was a kid and why she, wasn't very close to my mom. And I guess it was because she didn't know how to handle kids. I don't know. And then a couple years later, my grandma died. She was in a car accident, and basically the seatbelt crushed everything in her chest. And she died. Similar to what happened to Dale Earnhardt. It's kind of a similar situation that there's a great possibility she could have lived if she hadn't been wearing her seatbelt. But she had. And I guess, like, it was really hard for me to cope with that because I was close to my grandma. She's, like, one of the only grandparents that I was actually, like, that close to. And I was going to call her the night before, and I didn't because I figured she'd be home the next day, so I didn't see the point in calling her and bothering her. Now I wish I would have called her. Could have at least said goodbye and told her I loved her. I don't know. I have a lot of guilt in that relationship department because when I was a kid and my parents divorced, my grandma kind of moved in and kind of took the place of my dad. And I was only 8 years old and I wasn't okay with that. I would tell my grandma every day to leave, that I didn't want her there, that I wanted my dad to come home. Now I regret that, but I still can't take it back. And I don't think that I ever really told her how sorry I was for the way I treated her. I think that's what hurts the most is you don't realize how toxic you are to people, and I guess how much you eat away at a person until they're gone. And then you're left with all these regrets. So my advice is, if you've treated anyone badly or you're treating someone badly right now, it doesn't matter who they are and it doesn't matter how much pride you have. You have to tell them you're sorry. And make sure, especially if it's a loved one, that they know how much you love them. I just hope, because my grandma was so wonderful and so loving and so caring and so giving, that she knew how much I loved her and that I really did love her. And I just gave her a hard time for no reason, but I did and I do love her. And I hope my grandma knows that. But I'm still coping with her death to this day. She's been gone 3 years. January, 3 years, and I'm still coping with that one. But I think a lot of that, again, has to do with the guilt that I carry with me every day. all because I had too much pride to say I was sorry. And then the next person that I lost would be my great grandma, who died 2 months, not even 2 months after my grandma died. Um, my grandma, who died in January, I actually went up to see my great grandma, her mom, to say goodbye, and ended up getting in a car accident on the way home. Because we found out my great grandma had pancreatic cancer, and she only had about a month and a half to live. So my aunt took my grandma and her family up to say goodbye first, and then like I think a week later or 2 weeks later, we went up and we said goodbye to grandma. It was just it was a really tough time. It was a really really tough time because it's like we lost our grandma and then about a month and a half later, if that, we lost our great grandma, which I can say it was really hard on me to lose my great grandma because I really got close to her. But on the other hand, I got really lucky because there's like no kids that really get to live, 20 years and they still had their great grandparents in their life. So I feel blessed that, I was able to have her that long. Um, exactly a month and 3 days later, I lost a really good friend of mine. Um, I was what you call, I don't even know how to, a handicapped friend. Um, I would sit with the handicapped kids at lunch and I'd eat with them. And my really, really, really good friend, who I'm still friends with today, she has shaken baby syndrome. So she's handicapped, both mentally and physically. And I love her to death. Becky, done. I love you. Anyway, um, her name was Kendra, and she kind of had this same kind of thing. She wasn't physically, she walked kind of slow, but she wasn't really physically handicapped. She had extra chromosomes, which made her almost autistic. She was kind of shy and quiet, but she would always talk to me. And I'd sit with her at lunch, and I'd joke around with her, and I'd tickle her and make her laugh. And she ended up getting a blood clot that no one caught, and it went up to her brain and it exploded, and she passed away. That was very hard for me because I had known her since like third grade, and it was really hard on me. But overall, I'm coping. I still have like, I guess you could call them dark moments about my grandma because I still have guilt, and I don't think that'll go away, until I really come to terms with, me being a better person. I need to learn to be a better person overall to everyone. And I think once I learn how to do that, then I'll finally be able to, have peace. Anyway, just leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. I need to know, how are you dealing with death and dying? And have you ever lost someone that was like really, really close to you? Or have you ever just lost someone that you knew? Anyway, just comment, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.